Hello, England are out of the running to be automatic qualifiers. They're going to have to go for the playoffs again. Would you believe it? Of course we would. It's nothing unusual. We'll get a chat about that and all things international on the other side of this. Yes, hello. We are back once again. It's Monday night, which can only mean one thing. We are here to talk about all things elite women's football. And I'm very much looking forward to having that conversation. I've got two distinguished guests, as ever, who come along to decorate the Christmas tree that is all for women's football with their wonderful views and their fantastic vibes. Liberty Simons is one of the first ones. How are you getting on?
I like that you said Christmas tree and it's June. I'm all right, Barry. How are you?
Loving life. Looking forward to this evening and all of the joys that we have got to chat about. And of course, just below us as well, we have got Freya as well. How are you doing, Freya?
I'm okay, thank you. Had a lovely week. And then the Sainsbury's delivery driver earlier told me I was old. So, just put a bit of a downer on my Monday. To be honest,
I'm not convinced that is what Sainsbury's are intending to deliver. It's not that level of bad news. I think they're just supposed to deliver vegetables. That's hope you didn't pay extra for that. That's wild.
Yeah, and then when someone's dug themselves into a hole and they try and backpedal and it just makes it worse. I was just like, I'm just going to go put the lawnmower away. I'll see you in a bit. You deal with Georgie.
Nightmare.
I'm walking away from you.
Well, there we go. That is the joys that we have got this evening. And listen, we've got lots to be looking forward to. Three main topics that we're going to try and look at. You might notice one or two changes in how we're running this evening. We shall see whether or not that works or not. But we're going to try and keep it as tight as we can in this respect. We shall see. Who knows? It might happen, it might not. We're going to try our very best. So what are the three topics I hear you cry? Well, we've got the World Cup qualification. We are, of course, going to be talking about that. We have got transfer discussions galore. There's plenty of things happening in the world of women's football there. And, of course, we will have our usual All for Women's Football Roundup, where Liberty will take us through the Daniel Svensson and, of course, her new favourite Swedish football team. Freya will take us through our two teams in the NWSL and the state of play there as we're getting ready for them to be coming back in a couple of weeks' time. And then I will have the joys of running us through Brazil, which I'm sure will be illuminating as ever. So there we go. That's the hour that we've got planned for you. But we need to begin with the World Cup. Yes, the men's one is already underway. I don't know about you two. I haven't watched a minute of it. It hasn't even got on my radar.
I'm doing the live watch-alongs with the Absolute podcast. Turned over to men's football for the summer, getting involved. So I thought I'd give them a try, because, they play football too. But no, there's been some cracking red cards already. It's been great.
Liberty, you been watching any of it?
Bits and pieces when I've been available. I've not been staying up for the Scotland. It was way too late for me. But the bits that are reasonable time for my bedtime, I've been watching. Very impressed that Cape Verde managed to draw 0-0 with Spain today. Very impressed. And obviously, congratulations to Scotland and John McGuinn for his goal at the weekend.
There you go. Unexpected, but there we are. It was a bit of a result. So, yes, we are here to talk about the women's one, of course, of which there are 14 teams currently qualified and all is looking good over there. So who are those teams? Where are we? Well, we know that in Asia, we have got Australia, China, South Korea and Japan. They won the quarterfinals of their Asian Cup and so therefore are automatically qualified. And the Philippines and North Korea make up the first 6 of those 14 teams having won the play-ins. We've got 2 more teams from there who will take part in the Interconfederation playoffs, which just seems like a lucky losers type thing, really, with the last hopes for them to get through, which is, of course, Uzbekistan and Chinese Taipei. In Oceania, we've got New Zealand, and that's their lot. But Papua New Guinea will also be in the Interconfederation playoffs. In CONMEBOL, we'll be talking about that in this section. But Colombia won their qualification campaign with Argentina, finishing the runners-up. So both of them have now qualified for the World Cup next year in Brazil, with Venezuela and Ecuador going into the Interconfederation playoffs. And then, of course, in UEFA, Denmark, France, Spain, and Germany all managed to win their groups, and as a result have made it directly through to the World Cup. We've got a few teams, and by a few, I mean, I could list them, but by God, there's a lot of them. They've all made it through to the playoffs. Basically, the rest of the Group A teams, they're all in there. In Group B, though, we do have some teams who have not only made the playoffs, but have won their divisions in Wales, Switzerland, Portugal, and Scotland. There are other teams as well. And within Group C, there are also some teams that have made the playoffs. There's going to be some big UEFA playoffs to go through, which I'm sure we'll chat about in just a bit. The playoff draws, by the way, will be taking place on the 18th of June. So in 3 days' time, we will have our first set of playoffs filled in, so we will know what we can be looking forward to. Of course, no teams from Africa have qualified yet due to the fact they've still not played their tournament, but that will be taking place allegedly on July the 26th, kicking off next month, where again the quarterfinal winners will advance to the World Cup, and the rest of them will find themselves in the Interconfederation playoffs for the losers. CONCACAF, which again, probably my favourite one of all of them to say, because I just imagine, lots of horse chestnut trees just going for a coffee, really, which is lovely. But that's on the 27th and the 28th of November that we will see the quarterfinal winners advance, and at that point we'll know who has automatically qualified. It'll be one of 8 teams, or 4 of 8 teams rather. USA will be playing El Salvador, Jamaica, Costa Rica, Canada, Panama, and Mexico against Haiti. So those are the big ones that we have got to look forward to. But there's only one place to start, Freya, and that is with UEFA. And there were some pretty big things that happened over the course of the international window. Denmark's 2 wins against Sweden and Serbia meant that they were the side that ended up going through. Probably that result against Sweden, the key thing there that meant that Denmark won through, which I think for us was a little bit of a surprise. Ireland did incredibly well in Group 2, but even though they managed to beat the Netherlands 3-2, they were defeated by France in the end by just the 1 goal. If they'd have won that game, it would have been Ireland qualifying automatically, which I think, again, would have been not on people's bingo card. But as it was, France made it through. Spain absolutely walloped England. I remember reading lots of things that were saying, if England only lose by 1 goal, it's all very much in there. And Spain just went, nah, just put 4 past you. That'll be easy. And as a result, didn't really seem to see too much from England against Ukraine. But there was a massive 10-goal swing that would have been needed there. So they literally would have needed to score a goal every 5 minutes effectively against Ukraine in order to qualify. So playoffs it is for England. And of course, Germany, probably in the easiest advancement of the last 2 games, beating Norway and Slovenia both times 2-0. And that was that. So UEFA, a massive, massive, massive World Cup qualification campaign. What did you make of the final games of the group stages?
It's always a mixed bag, that final one, because you've got some teams who they know they're relegated, they're going into League B for the next Euros. I'm doing this, you know what I mean? The next league phase for the Euros. So you had that, and then you had the ones desperately trying to pick up points to get through automatically. And I think the most annoying bit, and I don't know if we're going to follow up on this, but I'll just sneak it in now. The fact that there's only 1 promotion spot, 1 automatic spot. And I think quite a few people have mentioned it, but the fact that League A, as we've said, are meant to be the best of the best in Europe. So surely top 2 should go through, because if you look at England's group, like you said, Spain were incredible in that game. So fair play to them. They truly deserve that win. But for both teams to be on the same amount of points and only one of them to get through, like getting 15 points and not qualifying is just a travesty, really, isn't it? So I don't want it to get to a sense of like entitlement to be in that next bit of the competition. So you do have to earn it, but also to get both teams on the same points and one not qualified just is really heartbreaking. So yeah, I wish they would change the format a little bit for the next season. But yeah, because the next qualifying round is a round 1 and a round 2, and you just think if you promoted the top 2, then surely just one qualifying round, or not. Like they could streamline it a bit more, couldn't they? But yeah, some fantastic results. You mentioned Ireland there. I think after they had not a rough start, but I think they had a couple of games where they maybe didn't perform their best. So of course everyone was like, no, what's happening? But they've managed to really, really turn it around and finish in 3rd, only 2 points behind the Netherlands and only 4 points behind France, winning three out of 6 games. They've done incredibly well in that group, which was named the group of death. So yeah, they can be very proud indeed. I know, of course, going into it, the second teams, it's seeded, isn't it? So technically the better you finish, the easier your draw is going to be, especially for round 1, which should be a formality for most groups. But yeah, it's just a shame when you've got like Germany, yes, got through 16 points. Norway got 12. So again, they weren't far off. So yeah, some groups were incredibly, incredibly tight. But yeah, some fantastic results. Other teams just really couldn't get going off the mark, but they still got the opportunity through the playoffs to hopefully get somewhere. So yeah, I mean, fantastic result for Wales as well, because obviously B1 group winners, League B group winners will then get promoted back to League A for the next round as well for the Euros. So yeah, a mixed bag. And I don't know if I've answered your question, Barry, but there were some very enjoyable moments for match day 6. But yeah, it's just a shame we couldn't see more teams automatically go through. So yeah.
No, you've definitely answered the question. That was very much where I was asking you to go with it, and you've done that incredibly well. Well done. Again, we've had one contributor saying Ireland must take the site of Melvine Mallard, which is probably quite fair, to be honest with you, considering what had taken place in that game with her doing incredibly well to get the goal. Liberty, same sort of thing for you. I mean, Freya brings up the qualification and the playoffs. I think the playoffs are just they just elongate the process that doesn't need to be quite as long as that, I think. But you can understand at the same time why they do it, because with the Nations League being set up the way it is, it's almost like they want to be able to give Group B teams something to still be fighting for. But it just seems very weird that every team in Group A, no matter what, will make it to the playoffs if they don't win. Then in Group B, 3 of the 4 teams are likely to make it into the playoffs. And then in Group C, it's obviously just the winners and a couple of second place teams that make it through as well. Are you happy with the process for qualifying for the World Cup? Do you think it could be streamlined a bit more to make it a little bit better? And what was your thoughts on the England game? Because I watched that game against Ukraine and I didn't feel like England had the urgency that was required. If you go back to the WSL2 matches that were happening when, Charlton and the top 3 were all fighting for that place, and Crystal Palace were trying to bop in goal after goal after goal, and you were starting to think, this could be exciting. Imagine if they catch up. You kind of wanted that for England against Ukraine. Ukraine had been beaten by fairly heavy scorelines, but England just didn't seem to really want to put their foot on their throat.
Yeah, on the playoffs, I agree that it should be like the top 2 in Group A. I think an extra round of competitive football in the autumn/winter is really silly, especially for countries where 100% of your squad are playing in the top 5 leagues in Europe. most of them, give or take. It's just, once again, it's the same as my issue with the Nations League as a system. It's more unnecessary competitive games in a very chock-a-block calendar. That being said, the playoffs are good for countries who aren't on an England or a Spain or a France or a Germany. The only reason Poland went to the Euros is because they won their playoffs against Austria. So I think it is a system that works in the favour of some, like a Poland who got their first big tournament because of it, but also is a hindrance on others / everyone. It is kind of 50-50. And I think that there are things that could be tweaked, but that would make it work better. But it's still, in terms of having that system where you can have I mean, even Ireland, last World Cup, they won the playoff against Scotland to go to Australia and New Zealand. So, and now we're looking at them in a position where they could have automatically qualified for Brazil. So I think it's good in places. It's not 100% efficiency yet, or effectiveness. I mean, not efficiency. So I think that there are things that could be tweaked, but I kind of understand why it's the top one team in Group A, because I think that it makes that when you have a situation where you have England and Spain in one group, it makes those games more competitive, because if it was the top two, it could have been decided by the time England played Spain the first time at Wembley. We could have already been going, well, they're already qualified, so what's the point? So I think that's why they do the top one, the first team, but I do think it makes for a silly amount of competitive games later on. On the England games, everyone was terrible in the Spain game. I don't think that's much of a understatement. Like, there was genuinely not a single player for England where I thought, wow, especially for a team that needed a point. They only needed a point and they would have guaranteed top space. And it just looked like a bunch of people who had never played football together before. And I've said before, I may have said it on here, but I've definitely said it in private conversations. Like, I think that at this point in Wiegman's cycle, the most important player for her is George Stanway. And if Stanway plays well, England works well. And that Spain game, it was just like, yeah, it was quite clear that that's sort of right. I don't understand why you'd start two. There was like a lot of little things where I just thought she'd like regressed a bit. And I'm looking at the previous international breaks where some players haven't been available or haven't played, and I'm thinking that was so much better than this camp. And it was a lot of regression, which is quite concerning at this point in Wiegman's cycle as an England manager, because surely at this point you have more trust for your whole squad and not just 11 players, maybe up to 15 if you've got subs. Concerning that the last thing she has to do is win a World Cup, and at this point it looks like she doesn't trust the team that she'll be taking to Brazil next year, given that they're going to qualify. I also thought the same as you, Barry, for the Ukraine game. It was just a lot of, I don't think they care anymore. Like, they almost were guaranteed second place at that point. They knew they were going to be seeded in the playoff, and it was just a lot of meh. And I think the Jess Carter goal was really good and really good movement from her. But everyone else, just like the whole game was like meh. And they were like, as long as we get the points, we don't care, which is a shame. But also had similar issues the first half of the first Ukraine game in, I can't remember where it was played, Portugal? Can't remember. Where I just felt like it was like another case of we're playing worse teams than we are, so we're not going to try, which I think is a lot of issues that England have had under not under Wiegman, under this new system of qualifying, where they play teams that they are categorically better than, and they don't bring up the standard, unlike a Spain or a Germany, who kind of go 110% no matter what. And that is concerning because we've seen it now in qualifying, we've seen it in tournaments, and I don't think it should take going to sort of this like do or die. We have to be 100% because we've taken ourselves too close to the line for England to kind of stop that, and which is like quite a lot of what we saw in the Euros and also the World Cup actually in Australia and New Zealand. I'm just concerned that they haven't I was going to say shaken that off. No, I don't know if that's right. They haven't got rid of those kind of ghosts, and I think that that's Wiegman's job as the manager to get rid of those ghosts, and it looks like she also can't get rid of them. And yeah, it was just a lot of meh end of season football, which is concerning because next year the end of season football is going to be a World Cup. It's not going to be competitive, glorified friendlies against Ukraine.
What bothered you more, the performance against Ukraine or the performance against Spain, to both of you?
The performance against Ukraine, purely because the Spain performance was so bad, but you can forgive it because you're playing against Spain. Like, they are like, if you're going to have a player score a brace on you, it might as well be Putellas. Whereas the Ukraine game was just, as Claire said, like complacency, sort of a thing of we're better than you, so we're not going to go for 100%, which is just terrible in my opinion. Whereas the Spain game, at least everyone was terrible together, and you knew that they were playing Spain in Spain. So you can almost forgive it because Spain were just a better team. I still think that Spain are a better team than England, so I think that I would say Ukraine over Spain.
I think they're both annoyed us equally for different reasons, but like Liberty was saying, you go up against Spain and I think you look even worse against a team like Spain, especially when you're not playing your best, because they just look so good. So you look even worse. But yeah, the Ukraine one, I think, and again, no offense to Ukraine because they can be a very tricky team to come up against, but I think they're the teams that you need to be beating. So there's no point, half-arsing it. You need to put everything behind it, and you need to really, really go for it and be creative. And if plan A is not working, you've got a plan B already there. And yeah, I just think we're missing that bit of initiative and that creative spark that everyone's on board with. Because it feels like, as we've seen before, if one player goes off, it's like no one really knows how to react and what to do with it. So yeah, I think it is a case of complacency, and just because there's not enough rotation. There's a Hindu. So many players are in Ibiza at the minute. It's just all my feed. But yeah, I think because there's hardly any rotation, there's not that maybe need to fight for your shirt, because you know who's going to start and you know who's pretty much going to be in that 11. So I wish Serena would gamble a bit more, but I can see in games like Spain why she didn't necessarily, because it's Spain. But yeah, I wish there was more jeopardy in the team with who's going to actually start, because I think that would just kick a few players into the gear that they need to be at to compete, and show off. They're England.
She did play Manuela ZInsberger at centre back, which was something that I never thought would happen. I did a bit of a double take there. I was like, hang on a second, that's my mayor sat at the back. Look at that. But yeah, very, very interesting. I think that the annoying thing for me is that the highlight of both of those games was the fact that I purchased a new projector. So that's why there's not so many pictures on my wall. So I had like a massive, almost cinema screen experience, which I very much enjoyed. In order to watch my women's football, actually, the eyes are starting to go, so everything needs to be bigger, you see. But yeah, loved it. So that was really quite nice. Right, we're going to briefly mention about the CONMEBOL in a second, but I know that Liberty's just got one more thing she wants to add, so talk to us.
Two things. One is just some praise. The Marie Muller plays for the Portland Thorns for a club, but she's German. And last year, she was called up for her first camp with the national team, and on that camp tore her ACL. And now She was called back for this camp after having a really good start to the NWSL season. And on her debut, just over a year after going out with an ACL, scored a brilliant goal. And I just wanted to shout out that because I think that's very cool, especially after going through such a rough time where you get so close to living your dream and it's quite cruelly ripped from you by a big injury. So brilliant for her. And she also started that game. And also, very quickly, Sweden need to sack Gustafsson sooner rather than later. It has been, nearly a year of his managerialship, and it has been nothing but a disaster. Very well done for Denmark for automatically qualifying, but Sweden were just woeful. This is the same team that a year ago were beating Denmark 6-1 before the Euros, and they lost 2-1 in both the home and away leg against Denmark in this group. It's just been terrible. He has no vision, no idea what he's doing. He hasn't fixed the lack of Aslani problem, and his backline is a bunch of children because he's had so many retirements, but it's just a lot of terrible decisions across the pitch. The Swedish FA needs to get rid of him sooner rather than later because there is a real chance that they will not go to the World Cup under him because not a single minute of the football has been anything decent. And also he's semi-exiled Rolfa from the team when he's missing so much experience and she's just sat on the bench. And in the Serbia game, one of them, she came off the bench and she scored within 3 minutes, and you're going, there you go. There is the example of why she would be playing, but also she is now the most experienced player in his squad, and she's just sat on the bench. None of it makes sense. He needs to go because there is genuine chance that they will not go to the World Cup because of him directly.
What I'm hearing there is that the Sweden managership is probably the Titanic as opposed to something a bit nicer. Okay, well, there we go. So that's UEFA. Well done to the 4 teams that have made it through there: Denmark, France, Spain, and Germany. And like I say, on June the 18th, we will find out what the playoffs are going to look like and who is playing who. So join us next week, and I'm sure we will run through those delightful fixtures. Just a brief talk on CONMEBOL. So we mentioned before that Colombia won it in the end, with Argentina being the runners-up. But they were all, there's only 8 or 9 teams in the CONMEBOL anyway, but they were all very, 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 very busy around each other there, with lots of teams having the opportunity to qualify. Argentina, as it was, ended up drawing with Peru, beat Ecuador, who couldn't overtake them at that point. Ecuador's time was gone thanks to the draw with Peru. But Ecuador had beaten Chile, and they were in the top 4 as well. So some big things happening there. Colombia obviously winning both of their games. They beat Uruguay and Paraguay, which meant they won the competition. Lots going on over there. When you look at Colombia and Argentina, are they the 2 teams that you'd have expected to have made it through? We saw Colombia certainly in the previous World Cup. There was quite a bit going on there. Colombia, Argentina, when you run through the list, are they the 2 that you kind of expect every single time to make it through? Or do you see a little bit of a shift between some of these other South American teams getting a little bit closer, with the fact that Brazil, of course, didn't need to qualify this year due to being the holders? That's to either of you, whichever one of you would like to dive in first.
I was going to say, have I missed a name there? I think so. Yes, I think they are the ones you'd expect to qualify. But I think when we went through the fixtures and kind of the tables, didn't we? It was getting a lot tighter than I think it has been previously. So you can see the players who are playing in Spain, playing in Portugal, playing in the NWSL even. They're really developing and really upping their game to probably the best we have ever seen. So yeah, not many of them you could call, I think, looking at the results and kind of what happened. So So yeah, I'm excited that they've got through and that they've qualified, but also excited to see what the future holds in the next couple of years for those teams as well.
Liberty?
Sorry, everything cut out, and I was trying to change to hotspotting off of my phone. So because it was like robots and then buffering. Sorry. So just putting out, I have no idea what Freya's just said. So sorry if I'm about to repeat something she said. Yes, expected. And think that, especially for Colombia, it's just building off of the World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. How many times am I going to say that? And it's showing a steady progression in South America. I think, yes, it's easier because there's no Brazil. Like the biggest team with the most talent is kind of gone straight away. But it's nice that especially like Argentina have taken that opportunity, and Colombia taking that opportunity of having no Brazil and going, well, we'll just go for it now. We've kind of got rid of the big boss of our region and we'll just go for it, which is really nice. And it means that, they can have a lot of support in Brazil, hopefully next year, which I think is also brilliant because Australia is really far away from those kind of places and Brazil is much closer.
There we go. Fair points indeed. So there we go. That is World Cup qualification. Like I say, join us next week. I'm sure we'll talk through the UEFA playoffs as we said. But for now, we shall leave Liberty in her depressive state about Sweden and all things UEFA for another 7 days. Give her a chance to just regain some of that Swedish resilience that they have. Right. We're going to move on to transfers now because it's all been cracking on. And for this section, there's not going to be specific questions. It's very much jump in as and when you see fit with all of these things. But we will probably have to start with Liberty, who, bless her, started off talking about how Sweden didn't make it in the World Cup qualifiers. Last week, we were talking about how Katie McCabe had pulled a Sol Campbell and gone off to Chelsea. And then this week, Beth Mead, who I think we all knew was on her way anyway, decided to not just leave, but to join Manchester City. That's the best place to start. On top of that as well, Manuela ZInsberger has gone off to Dortmund, which is obviously not, negative in that respect, going home in that. But it's also one of those where it's a little bit disappointing. So talk to us, Liberty. We've got a few changes, few of the old guard potentially on their way out for Arsenal. What do you make of the move for Beth Mead to Manchester City? I was speaking to one of my friends. He was like, has Beth Mead really got that much more to offer? And I'm like, did you not see her free kick? There's a role to play. Whoa! There's a role to play. I'm not saying she's a 90-minute specialist.
No, sorry. I was going to say, on the free kick, I've watched her sky those for the last 3 years since she last scored a free kick against Lyon in 22. It was the 19th of October because it was the day after my birthday, away in Lyon. She has not scored one since. And the first one she does for England after leaving Arsenal, bang. Great goal as well. So annoyed. Anyway, for her, it makes sense. Her partner's there. Makes sense. She can just move in with her. It's still a very good team. And it's still a team that's going to try for trophies. And she's, not getting any younger. So for her, great. Makes sense. For City, I don't get it. I just don't get it. I always think that if you're bringing in a player, it should upgrade you in some place. And I don't understand how this is an upgrade on any of their wingers, because it's not. She's not better than Hemp. She's not better than Fowler or literally any of them. I don't understand it other than a thing of experience, especially in Europe. But the thing is, she's obviously got a lot further in Europe and won it compared to literally at this point now that Awabi and Alexandria gone, I guess Greenwood's, but that was a long time ago anyway. Basically, 90% of their squad, she's gone further than any of them have. So that makes sense. But the thing is, on a playing on the pitch talent level, it's not an upgrade. I always think that a player needs to be an upgrade. I just don't understand it from them. But it's a free transfer. They've not spent any money on getting her. So maybe that's what they're thinking. Experience for free. And it was also sort of like a done deal because they already had a big pull for her in having Viv there. Manu to Dortmund, 1, was a surprise. 2, love it. Obviously, similar in a way to Beth. Her wife and her child live in Germany and have never moved here to be with her. So she's been away from them for a long time now, and that must be really hard. And she has spoken about how hard that is. And so for that, brilliant. To go down 2 leagues when you're coming back from an ACL, I think is quite interesting. I also think that's really good for her because she will not be playing at the highest level straight back from an ACL. She'll have time to settle in. Dortmund will be better than the other teams in the 3rd division. That is statistically accurate. They have Alex Pop and the other teams don't. So I think it's a really good move. I'm really happy that she can be back with her family and hopefully she can find some joy in playing football again, because I think we've seen in the past 3 years her sort of lose her level a bit, and I hope she can get it back because I think she's still a really big player for Austria, and hopefully she can just have some joy and some happiness. And Dortmund is a really good prospect at the moment. They are really trying to go through the ranks, do it right, and get to the Frauen-Bundesliga. And so I hope she can play a part in that with them. And yeah, I think it's really good for both Dortmund and also for ZInsberger.
Do you think she's coming in as a number 1, Freya?
Not coming back from injury, maybe. I think possibly rotational keeper, just to get her back up to scratch and that kind of thing. And maybe, hopefully, in the future, yeah. Because she is a good goalkeeper. Was she Arsenal level? No, not anymore. And that's fine because she was Arsenal's biggest fan. And that's she's exactly the type of player that you want on a team. Just she gives her everything to it. So yeah, really, really happy for her that she can be near her home and kind of represent a team that I think she'll fit in that environment. Because I've been doing my transfer tracker, shameless plug. So much has been happening in Spain, and I don't know if obviously people watching, if you don't know Spain that much, so many things. That's probably the league that I filled in the most. There's so much going on.
But all seeming to be out rather than in.
Well, so the WSL transfer window opens tonight at midnight. However, of course, we've already had some signings. Real Madrid are a strange one this summer. They are letting some very, very big names go. I say letting, we've had end of contracts, things like that. But obviously, I saw someone in the chat say about Caroline Weir as well. I believe the rumours are she is going to Lyon. I believe that's the rumour. Sorry for anyone who is a United fan who might be expecting it to go there. But yeah, it's looking more likely that it is Lyon. So yeah, they're letting her go. They're letting so many people. Teresa Abellera, she's gone. Misa Rodriguez, goalkeeper, she's gone. They've announced today Yasmin, she's off. Rocio and Naomi Feller as well. They were just in the last 24 hours. However, they've signed Elisa Sens from Eintracht Frankfurt and Andrea Jacinto as well, the Portuguese international. So they're really mixing it up, bringing these big names in. So there's a lot of, obviously, fans are getting very into it online. Why are you letting these people go? But they are also bringing in some names as well. And hopefully this is a sign maybe behind the scenes are changing, because we know, the top dogs at Real Madrid maybe aren't the most supportive, shall we say. We'll keep it there. So hopefully this is a sign of better things to come for them in the future. But yeah, loads of teams, especially WSL2 teams as well. Lots of players have been released, clearly getting ready for that new season. If the Italian teams can just get a move on with their announcements, because I've hardly got anything for Serie A. But yeah, it's that thing again of I've got all my notifications switched on. Some do it on X, some do it on Instagram, some do it on their websites, some haven't posted on their website since 2021 on the women's side. So it's hard. It's hard. So
rather you than me.
But,
but
it is.
But honestly, it's an absolute goldmine, to be fair, your little transfer tracker, and certainly the first place I go to when I'm trying to work out what's going on and who's in and out. Closely followed by Soccer Donna on X as well.
Well, of course, yeah.
Big fan of Soccer
Donna. Yeah.
But you're right to bring it up, and Liberty, I don't know what you think about it, but there are so many players at the moment who, yes, they're leaving, but they're leaving without a guaranteed club. So by which I mean it's obviously not been announced. They may well have had a massive conversation about yeah, you can join us, but it's not been actually confirmed. And obviously two massive ones from Barcelona winning the Champions League, but we know that Putellas and Ona Batlle have left. But where are they going? Is it going to be London City? Is it going to be Arsenal? There's rumours everywhere. But, she's gone. Caroline Weir, you've just mentioned as well, coming from Madrid, but she's one of the top goal scorers in the Nations League. Tessa Wullaert, also from Inter Milan, she's gone. And who was the other one? Mary Earps, obviously, announcing that she was leaving PSG. There's so many players leaving quite high-profile teams, but with seemingly no place to definitely go. Does it surprise you that we've got this level of players just going? Because I know that certainly back in the day, United were absolutely slated time and again for losing their top players on free transfers. Leah Galton's the only person that's left on a free so far for Manchester United, whereas some of these bigger teams are letting quite a few go.
Yeah, I think it depends on what a player has brought to a team. So, for example, Caroline Weir has far and wide been Real Madrid's best player, despite when she was out with her ACL injury. I don't think that's really much of a false statement. And so you want someone like that to see out her contract because, one, you want to really try and keep her, but also she kind of deserves it. Same as a Mead or a McCabe, they deserve to see out their contract because of what they've given to a club. But the difference in that is then other players who have not been nearly as good also seeing out their contract because nobody wants to buy them. I don't know if anyone, so for example, Freya said Naomi Feller, she's a French international, obviously just left Real Madrid. I would say her numbers are comparable to that of Caitlin Ford, as in they're not very good. And so nobody's realistically going to buy her off you, so you have to see out her contract before somebody gets her for a free. She scored 2 goals all season, and one of them came within the last 4 games of the season. They're not good numbers. So I think it depends on the player. I think we're also still in a stage of women's football where it is, unless you are spending $1 million, euros, pounds on a player, you don't want to spend any money on them unless you are buying the best of the best and you're spending 900 million, 1.2, blah, 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 or you're just Michelle Kang and will throw money at anyone. Nobody still wants to really buy players that are sort of either squad players or not necessarily the biggest thing in football. And I think those shackles are still holding women's football back a bit, and they kind of have to get rid of them, but I don't think now's the time. And then you have players like Putellas, like Earps, where there's a million rumours, but they're still going to choose what's best for them. And that means waiting it out a bit and seeing what teams and clubs offer, which is a quite dangerous line to thread because it could go terribly wrong and you could end up at a team that's not very good. But when you're Putellas, you kind of can play that game. When you're Ona, you can see who, like the thing that was reported that she was waiting to see who got automatic Champions League football. When you are the top 2 right backs in the world at the moment, you can play that game and wait out a bit.
And if she's struggling, we'll take her. If she's desperate for a case to go.
But yeah, I think it's interesting. I like my favourite sequence of transfers so far has been Regina van Eyck from Ajax going to Bayern. That came out of nowhere, and then Marla Grooms from Bayern went to Lyon. So now we just need Endler to go to Ajax, and we've got a triangle. I would really like somebody please let that happen because I just really would like to complete the triangle of keepers moving between France, Germany, and the Netherlands. When else is that going to happen again? The chances of that are not going to happen. So, can somebody just move from Lyon to Ajax to complete my triangle, please? I beg.
I'm positive they'll see your plea and respond positively to it. I see no reason why not. Speaking positively, I started this whole podcast by saying England out, and England are out again. But in this case, it's out of Spurs, as Beth England has obviously left Tottenham Hotspur. But they've got in Shakira Martinez, player from West Ham, which I don't know. I feel certainly in terms of future in the next few years, that is definitely one that could pay dividends for them. Not to say that Beth England wasn't capable of scoring goals, but over a more long-term sort of strategy, that one could be quite good. She's done very well at West Ham, potentially with a lot less assistance in terms of what she's doing. Do you think that she's going to be quite successful at Spurs?
I think so, because I think what kind of Martin Hall's doing, he is building for that future, and I think one of the reasons for letting a lot of older players go, shall we say, was that he wants to build a younger squad for the future, and he wants to get that talent in now. And I think Beth England, unfortunately, she just had a bit of a awkward run of injuries, didn't she? And she got back and then she wasn't fit again, and just but she can still do an incredible job. And I think that for someone who is a reliable striker, off the bench, I'd take her at Villa. Thank you very much. But yeah, I think she's still got that star power and her quality and experience. But yeah, for Martinez, I just think she's going to do incredibly well in that setup. And like you said, I don't think they've got much in terms of support at West Ham. And that kind of style of play, just something wasn't clicking. So with her moving on into this new side, I think she'll have a lot more in midfield to help her push forward and hopefully help her find her rhythm again, is what I was trying to say. So yes, good signing there.
There we go. Absolutely. I think so. There's a few other things that you thought we could talk about. We can always hold these off until other shows. But I did ask and request for your panel choice. So a transfer that maybe we haven't mentioned that has caught your eye. Maybe you've already mentioned it by accident. What was the one that's caught your eye the most?
I've already mentioned it, but it is Regina van Eyck from Ajax to Bayern. Came completely out of nowhere, as in they bought her out of her contract. And she's always been the keeper. She's 23, so she's very young. But she's always been the keeper on the cusp of the first team for the Netherlands. And has been the one where if Kopp or Van Domslaar were unavailable, she's that third choice. And I think that for me and some Dutch friends I have, she's very much if she gets consistent enough minutes, she could be the second choice for the Netherlands going forward, especially into a World Cup. And I think Ajax to Bayern is a big step up, but I do think she's ready for it. I think she's a really good young keeper. And I like the direction also for Bayern. That's two really quite young keepers they've got now. But they do rotate between keepers between Champions League and league games and cup games. And I think, yeah, she's a really good move for her, a really, really positive step going forward. And she came through the Ajax Academy, so really good for them to continue to develop and turn over good young talent that they continually do with Dutch youngsters.
Absolutely, Freya.
Yeah. I think I've already said mine as well. I went through quite a few, didn't I? But yeah, it's interesting to see like Elise Hughes leaving Palace as well. I thought that was one I wasn't really expecting. Oh, and neither did Liberty. She's gone.
Maybe that's the worst transfer of the all. My God, I wasn't expecting that.
The shock of Elise Hughes leaving. But yeah, I think if you look beyond your Katie McCabe's and your Beth Meads and that, there's some really interesting transfers going on behind the scenes. So yeah, I think I've said mine. But yeah, Tessa Wullaert, like you said earlier as well, I think I wasn't expecting her to leave Italy. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting one as well. And I've also heard other rumours of other strikers maybe being poached from the Italian league to go and fill those gaps. So yeah, we shall see.
Maybe less of a surprise for me was Hannah Kane leaving Leicester. Not necessarily a surprise because obviously
don't blame her.
SL2 now. But my surprise for this one will be I'm going to be very intrigued to see whereabouts she ends up because she was certainly a bright spark for Leicester when they were around. Hello, Liberty. Welcome back. For a moment, we thought you'd gone to free agency. And I was worried that another podcast was snapping you up whilst we speak. But all is well. You are back just in time as well because we are going to move into our final section of our evening. Again, feel free to come back next week. We'll be talking more, I'm sure, about any other transfers. It's going to be happening every week now. It's not my favourite time of the year, but I've very much worked out the fact that that's the way the world goes now and I can't really do much about it. So we will feed your urges to talk about transfers where we can each week. But it's time for our roundup. And I've tasked the panel today with a little bit of homework, something a little bit different in terms of just telling us what's going on, because we know most of what's happening in these divisions. Liberty speaks every single week about Damallsvenskan, whether we want her to or not. So that always happens, which is fantastic because it gives everybody a full and thorough understanding of what is occurring over there. Freya told me that she doesn't do too much with the NWSL. She hasn't had too much time. So naturally, I sent her to the NWSL to see if she could broaden her horizons a little bit. And then I decided that I was going to try my best to find out a little bit more about our Brazilian side, Botafogo. So I've also tasked them with trying to find a player that we should watch, a reason why we should care. It could be one for the future, one for the past. I've got a fascinating little fact for my Botafogo team I'm really looking forward to dropping shortly. But Liberty, we're going to go over to you first. Now, obviously, we had the internet bullied you effectively here because I told you the week before that you were going to have to work on Rosengård and Rosengård, sorry. And then the week after the Wheel of Names literally pulled that exact team out of the hat, which I found incredibly humorous. But the Damallsvenskan is still going. It's obviously one that runs throughout the summer, so it's one that we will be keeping an eye on over the next few weeks for sure. Tell us a little bit about what's happening, maybe a little bit about the history there, but more importantly, who's the player to watch for the mighty Rosengård?
Well, actually, this weekend's game was quite interesting because it finished 1-1 between Rosengård and Norrköping. The Norrköping goal came in the 3rd minute, and the equaliser for Rosengård came in the 90+4 minute. So very much bookmarks on both sides of the game. The equaliser came from my player to watch. I'm going to say it because I think it's quite interesting. Midfielder Hanna Andersson, which is a very common name in Sweden, so like it's really quite easy to remember. But she had one shot, one goal. Can't really do much more than that. And yeah, I think that my most interesting about Rosengård this season is obviously last year they actually had to play in the playoff to stay in the league. They had a really poor season after winning it the season before. So 24, they win the whole thing. They only lose one game. Then they lose a bunch of players. Knack and Sega retired, many more that I couldn't name off the top of my head. But they lose basically anyone who was any good. They lost them in that January transfer window in 25. Last year was a really poor season. They had to play the playoff to stay up. And this season it's been a bit hit or miss, but they are very much trying not to be in the same position as last year. They currently do sit in relegation, I'm not going to lie, but there is only 1 point between them and Norrköping, who are in that playoff place. And even then, there's only goal difference between them and the 11th place. It's really quite tight at the bottom between 14th and 10th. There's only 2 points in at the moment. We are only 9 games in for everyone, so there's still a lot to play for, but it is very tight. And so they very easily could creep up, especially if they keep getting late draws like they did. And yeah, I would say Hannah Anderson is my player to watch. I actually didn't realise that my player to watch had to be from Rosengård. I had a different one, but it's fine. I'll save it for another day. But yeah, other than that, the weekend was a lot of 1-1 draws. There was 3. Hammarby played Häcken again. We lost again. Another game of Hammarby being a better team than Häcken and still losing because they don't have a good enough striker anymore. Really frustrating. But yeah, a big 1-1 draw in the fight for the third, between third and fourth. Eskilstuna and Malmö played each other. They sit third and fourth respectively, and it ended in a 1-1 draw with a 63rd and 73rd minute goal for each side. So really quite interesting weekend. Very much first weekend back from international break energy, but we have 2 more games this side. So we have 2 more games, one midweek, one at the weekend. Then on the 25th. One at the weekend, then one on the 25th. Then we have a month break. Then we have 2 more games, then 2-week break, and then we're back properly, because taking a normal 6-week break, just like in a chunk, was too easy. So yeah, we've got 2 more games and then a little break for the summer, which happens every year. That's how the season works. Obviously, usually if it's a tournament season, a tournament will be played, but just a normal 4 weeks off, a little summer holiday for everyone. But we still have 2 more games for that before that break.
There you go, little summer holiday. We've got Cliff Richard coming up soon, having a little bit of a song. He's infiltrated Wimbledon once before, so it'd be quite amazing to see him at Daniel Svensson just all of a sudden bopping out that tune. Why not? I'm quite up for it, actually. Let's see if we can make that happen. Freya, over to you. You took a look at our 2 adopted American sides in Denver and Boston. Denver doing slightly better at the moment, but what did your research take you? Where did it take you, rather, and what did you get for us?
My research, yes. So I kind of, when these expansion teams were first announced, I did kind of lean more towards Denver Summit just because of all of their marketing. It's really interesting to see how much marketing really attracts you in, and it just shows the difference of it. And with Denver, it just felt like they were such a family-oriented community, and just all the merch was fantastic. And I know that shouldn't be the be-all and end-all, but you could just tell they were so proud of like their colors and their merch and like what they represented. And again, with Boston Legacy, obviously that's what they weren't called initially. They had a different name, received lots of backlash, went, oh, okay, we'll change it. So yeah, it kind of, they didn't have the best start, and shows how marketing can also go horribly wrong. But the season has started. They've played 12 games. The NWSL, a bit like this World Cup. It's kind of, this is your kickoff time. Might start, might not. If it's an Orlando game, there's probably going to be lightning. You will be delayed by about 3 or 4 hours. But yeah, so out of the 2, we'll come to Boston first, because looking at kind of where they are in the table, they're 14th out of 16th, and They have played, so they've played all 12. Race and Louisville are in bottom place at the minute, but they've only played 11. But yeah, so they played 12 out of 12 games. And their record isn't great, bless them. However, I've tried to look for the silver lining throughout the team. So they do have some really good players who are making the difference for them. And I was using FOTMob for my stats. Very good website. Not a plug, just a preference. And so I was looking at things like stats, your top goal scorers. You've got Traore at the minute, who's their top goal scorer on 3 goals. But surprisingly, her rating is quite a bit lower than the midfield for Boston Legacy. And I want to kind of talk about 2 players who do have the top 2-ish overall ratings on the team. So I'm going to come to Alba Caño. First of all, she's a central midfielder usually, but she can play out on the right as well. She's got an overall rating of 7.02, which anything above 7, you're in green on FOTMob, if people weren't aware. She has had 3 yellow cards, so she does really get stuck in. However, she's had 2 goals and she started all 12. So she is a consistent player for them. She came from Barcelona. She's on a loan spell with them. So you know that she has that experience of seeing what Barcelona academy and youth products can produce. She plays for the Spanish under-19 side as well. And I think a player with her flair and what she can bring to the team, she is doing incredibly well for them in that midfield area, as I mentioned before. So yeah, she's got a 38% on-shot target rate. No, that didn't make sense. On target shot rate. So yeah, I mean, out of their options, she is one of the better midfielders on the team. And she's only 23. So it's still got a lot to come, definitely in her prime at the minute. So yeah, wanted to bring attention to Alba Caño. And we've also got, I don't want to say a rogue one, but I don't think defenders maybe get enough praise. So I've gone for Emerson Elgin, full name Emerson Mackenzie Elgin, which I think is just the most American name ever, which is great. So yeah, so she's actually got 7.14 rating. She's got an assist. She's everywhere. She's all over the field. But she actually, if you think about players like Russos and even Lucy Bronze, I think she was also in college playing for the North Carolina Tar Heels. So she's got some very, very good experience there. Again, another good youth player. She's 23 as well. Excuse me. And even though she's only had, that can't be right. So she's only got 5 appearances. Hang on. But despite what some stats are saying, as a centre-back, she's started 8, played 8, there we go, already got an assist. So again, they need that strength at the back, especially when they are conceding so many goals. So they do need someone there to help them. But yeah, so Caño and Elgin for Boston Legacy. But yeah, coming on to Denver, they are doing really well, especially as a breakout team. A lot of reports didn't quite know how they were going to end up, what they were going to look like. Of course, Lindsay Heaps is going to be joining them after her contract with Lyon has finished. She's going back home. So it'd be good to see her join up. They're having a break at the minute. Obviously, the World Cup's kicking off. But yes, so once she is in and sorted, it'd be good to see what's happening there. But their next match is until the 4th of July. So a fantastic Independence Day for them. They get to celebrate a football coming back. But yeah, for Denver, I could talk about, I know I've talked about before, Dean Kostler. She scored 4 goals. They've got Ryan up front as well, 2 goals, 3 assists. Yamamoto, who has literally just joined, already has a better rating than the majority of the squad. She's already got an assist. I could talk about Sonis, but we you know, we know that name quite well. So I'm going to big up goalkeeper Abby Smith. She's going to be my standout from this team. She's in the top 30% of keepers in the league at the moment. She's had 4 clean sheets, only conceded 13. Considering some of the other against high numbers that we've seen, and she's just been incredible. If anyone gets a chance to watch kind of some of her highlight reels, she's made some incredible saves this season. And if you look at kind of her heat map and where she's saved all the goals, they're literally everywhere. She's faced 48 shots, only conceded 13 of them. She's doing incredibly, incredibly well. USA international keeper as well. So incredible experience there. And it looks like Denver are going to have a very good breakout season in the NWSL, and very happy to watch them as well. They are a pleasure. There you go.
There we go. Comprehensive, Freya. Well done. Excellent work. It's a shame, which can only be a good thing. But yes, I've got, of course, the mighty Botafogo. And I've got to be honest, this is taking any journalistic skills that I've got, and it is really stretching me to my absolute limit. Because the one thing that I will notice about all of the teams that the Wheel of Doom chose for us is that all of them, with the exception of perhaps Denver, seem to be rooted very firmly towards the bottom of their division, and that is absolutely where Botafogo unfortunately are. They are currently 17th out of 18 teams, Vitoria just below them. They did win, Botafogo, their first game of the season, and that was a wonderful moment for them. They were flying high in 5th. They haven't seen such heights since then, what with drawing just 2 out of the next 10 games, with the rest of them all being losses. So it's not been the world's best time for our little friends from Brazil there, but they are working incredibly hard at trying to catch up, and there are teams very much around them who they can catch, such as American Mineiro, Mixto, and Juventude, who are, of course, a side that they just beat in the Brazilian Cup. So a few bits and pieces about them. They are one of the 3 teams that are based around the Rio de Janeiro state area, and they sort of a bit up and down. They've been relegated from this division twice, in 2021 and 2024. They have rebounded back, but they're clearly a side that are struggling in that respect. They have a manager who I believe is called Leo Goulart. So not a lot of information currently about him. I'm going to work on this. This is a starting point very much. I'm going to try and build these profiles up over the course of the season. I can tell you unverified statistics on this one, that the average attendance, though, for Botafogo at the moment is around about 152. Now, the higher end, you're looking at your Corinthians, they get around about 1,800-ish as an average attendance. But Botafogo, by no means the worst in terms of their average attendance. Fluminense are going to get 108. They're the ones that are struggling the most at the moment with their average attendances for the season so far. So, yeah, a few bits and pieces, I think, for Botafogo to try and move on with. Now, obviously, they still have some games to play, and if I'm not mistaken, tomorrow is the first game that they have got to play, and that is against Vitoria. Now, that matters because Vitoria, as I've just mentioned, are the side that are directly below them. Now, they've had a slightly better time of it in terms of the fact that they've drawn 3 of their opening 11 games, but that obviously the win from Botafogo right at the very beginning of the season is the reason why they are 2 points clear. So a win for Botafogo there will put them out of the relegation zone, which would be a lovely place to be, right underneath Juventude. And that, to me, I think would make a lot of sense. So fingers crossed, up the Botafogo. Let's see if they can get that win. My player. So, again, trying to find these players is a little bit like trying to find a needle in a haystack. But I did manage to find a few that I could potentially talk about. And then there I was, merrily doing a little bit of research on some of these players. And then I saw something and I went, I can't not talk about that fact because that is absolutely wild. And so I went, as a player to watch, really, it's not, because she's 36. So she's not one of those who's definitely got a huge long future ahead of her. But she's also a goalkeeper. And this was amazing. So her name, her full given name, which I shall now move ahead and butcher, is Michelle Cristina Sequeira Gomez Lopez. And she was only born 7 years after me, which is quite something. But again, she was born in Rio, which was quite an amazing thing for her. Not that amazing, really, I suppose. It's just a place in the world, but it's sunny, which is wonderful. But the bit that got me, and I'm going to ask you both here, so Freya and Liberty, what do you think her first team was? So she finished graduation with Team Chicago, and then she went and played for a team. I will help you out. It's a team in England. Who do you think she played for?
Please tell me it was like Donny Bells.
Yeah, I was going to say Lincoln Ladies because I'm thinking about Linda Sembrant, so I'm going to say Lincoln Ladies.
It's a great shout. I'm impressed that you both sort of went for that sort of level, and you're absolutely right. They're currently, I believe, still the WNL Tier 4 or Tier 5 side, but Keynsham Town.
Oh.
Keynsham Town. I'm reading that, I'm like, shut up. But yes, 2010, she made her debut with Keynsham Town. Obviously, after that, she's moved around a little bit. She's been in Switzerland and then moved back. She's been in an Israeli league as well. But obviously now, having played with Sao Paulo, she is now back with, I say back with as if she was there before. She wasn't, with Botafogo. And, of course, she's had a really good season insofar as she's playing, it seems, pretty much every game. So I saw that stat and I'm like, oh, my Lord, that is quite something. Because you wouldn't imagine somebody born in Brazil just coming over and playing their first game. And it's amazing. It really is how this happens. I'm going completely off kilter here now. But my niece has got herself a boyfriend who's a footballer. And he comes from China. And I went and met him in Cambridge the other day. It was a wonderful moment. And I was talking to him about the football. I said, where else have you played? And then he turns around and he says, oh, was it? I played for it. And I'm like, that's literally 10 minutes away from me. I'm like, how? That's just like, the world is such a small place nowadays. You wouldn't have imagined it, because I can't think of a world where I'm sitting there going, yeah, I was in China the other day. Just ran. It's bizarre. But here they are, globetrotting. Absolutely wonderful. So there we go. That was Botafogo women. And that's our little update on all roundup of where we are. Liberty, I'm going to ask you, do you know how to pronounce the winners of the Denmark A-League?
I would have to look, but it's
HB. It all depends how that O works. I think it's going to be Koga.
Koga. I think it's
Kurj.
I want to say Cougar because that's just like, that means something completely different. No, I don't. Not off the top of my head without looking.
Okay, well, that's side anyway. Say again?
Koya.
Koya?
Yeah.
So the O is an oi.
It's like a or, yeah, like a or. Koya.
Oh, like a bit
Koya.
northern.
Okay, so there we go.
Maybe Freya's actually saying it normally and it's just her accent.
Maybe.
Koya. Yeah, Koya.
Wow. Chaos, absolute chaos. Congratulations to them anyway, because they won their fourth ever Denmark A-League title. So congratulations to them. We couldn't not mention that. But there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we have managed it. I aimed for around about an hour. We've pretty much done that today. That's not been too bad at all. There's a lot to talk about, and we did, I think, an incredible job in timekeeping. So next week, what can we look forward to? I was having a little think. Obviously, we're going to talk about these playoffs that will have been drawn. Which games are we most looking forward to in that? We are going to look ahead to the NWSL, which will be beginning to return over the next couple of weeks. They have a Challenge Cup that's going to take place first. I think that's next weekend, not this one, next weekend. And then after that, we are back with the NWSL. So we're going to take another little look at what's happening there. I'm sure there'll be more from Sweden because, as we say, they are playing up until their little Cliff Richard holiday. And, of course, Brazil, we will find out whether or not Botafogo did manage to defeat that nasty Vitória and get themselves out of the relegation zone, or if we should just probably stop picking football teams and cursing them. But there we go. And also, regardless, we're going to carry on. Next week, we are going to look at some other teams that we are going to be looking ahead at through some of our divisions. So we'll be looking for our Italian team, we'll be looking for our Spanish team, our German team. Might stop at those three next week, roll them out over a course of a few weeks, spread it out a bit, as we have done indeed with this. But my big thanks to you guys. Freya, feel free to shout out where people find this wizardry that you are creating with your transfer tracker.
Wizardry, thank you. So it's at thewhole115yards.com. It should be the first thing that pops up on the website. So yeah, do go give it a click and a little scroll through. So it's WSL, WSL2, Serie A and Liga F, in that order. And yeah, it's all very much new contracts, in, outs. It should hopefully be very self-explanatory. But yeah, so that's there. And talking about most things at T3T Ranks. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I Googled it. And when I Googled it, I could find the one for 2024 and the one for 2025. I had to go direct to the website. So I don't know what Google was playing out there. Why are you telling me about the transfer tracker from 2 years ago, Google? Come on now. We've got Elon Musk.
We need to sort it out, don't we? That's why we need to share it, Barry, so more people get the new one. That's what needs to happen.
Silly Google. But there we go. Liberty, anything you would like to shout out? Nothing at all? No. Nothing at all? Okay, then fine. We'll leave that one very much there. It's been a pleasure. I'm looking forward to seeing you all next week. There should be, fingers firmly crossed, a show on Thursday evening for our lower league lingo, which we will be going ahead with. Fingers crossed. We've definitely got two people on. We're just trying to get ourselves that third person, and we are looking at tier 3. So we'll be taking a little look at what is constituting tier 3 this season with the North and the South. Have a little look at some of the managerial changes, because I'll tell you what, in tier 3 and 4, it's all popping off. There are managers going all over the place. If you take away, it's like an episode of Big Brother. They're just everywhere. Like, it's unreal. They're moving around in different areas. So yeah, absolutely. Get yourself on that and have a little watch. But if not, we'll see you back here next week, 8:30, ready for a load more fun. See you then.